Every old house has a story, and in the South, we love to tell them. The Maxwell Elebash House was built over a century ago. Inspired by a family home in Charlotte, North Carolina, it remained with the same family until just last year. But as Eudora Welty wrote, the past is never dead, it's not even the past. And now the Maxwell Elebash home is being restored for a new century and a new family. Join us as we show how we are modernizing this beloved home while honoring the beauty, elegance, and enduring grace that have always defined it. Hey, I'm Tricia Stone with Carrie Fitz Real Estate, and welcome into the Elebash House on Deering Place. This house is over 100 years old, and today I have with me Kelly Fitz, who is the talented interior designer with a passion for historic homes, and she's going to show you the challenges and renovations of an historic home. Welcome, Kelly.
Thank you, Tricia. Thank you for coming.
Tell us about this house.
Well, this house was purchased as a renovation project for resale. And what we're doing here is replacing all the electrical and mechanical systems. They're all brand new. We are replacing a lot of the plumbing with brand new plumbing and just basically updating this house so that it can be ready for the next family that wants to live in a beautiful old home.
The next 100 years.
Another 100 years.
So let's show some of the challenges you faced in here. So Kelly, structurally this house was in really good shape, but that also provided a challenge when you were looking at running the electrical, the new electrical, along this. Tell us about the terracotta.
So this house is a full masonry house, and that means that we've got a brick exterior, but under that it is terracotta block. So this is built very structurally sound, almost like a bunker. And with that, you have very limited room to get your electrical in. So our electricians very cleverly decided they could chip out a little bit of the area around an outlet and feed the wiring into it, and then that outlet will be in the base door. So we're hiding all that without having to rip up so much of the wall in order to get this done.
So Kelly, just like the outlets along the floor with the terracotta, for the wall outlets you had to come in and go through the plaster and the other framing. Tell us about this.
So that's typical of a plaster wall. You've got plaster coating over your wooden lathe in this particular instance, and it's a little bit brittle and a little bit difficult to get electrical in. So you chip out some, the electricians run their wirings, and then we have to have somebody come in and patch this with some sheetrock, and then they will plaster over it and smooth the wall back out.
So you are planning to patch this?
Yes, imagine.
And same with up here, while we're in this room, tell us what's going on with the ceiling.
So the ceiling also is plaster. We discovered that these ceilings have a metal lath, which is a little bit difficult to work with and a little bit of a surprise. So we've had to cut the metal lath away, and then our plumbers have gotten up in there and they've replumbed the bathroom above. That's why we have a large hole in here. Same thing with the electricians over here. They've had to poke a few holes in the ceiling in order to get the electrical in.
Metal lath.
Right, you can see the metal lath, a little bit of that. In this room we've added corner pan recessed lights, and then also since this ceiling is so damaged, they will come in and they will put full sheetrock over this ceiling in order to get it done, rather than just patching all these holes.
And the molding up here is basically picture molding.
Yeah, the molding is a picture molding. It's about 4 or 5 inches down below the level of the ceilings, which is nice for us so that we can just put the sheetrock up and don't have to worry about taking off the trim.
So Kelly, one of the best things about watching you do a house like this is you do a lot to keep the original style, but to make it adaptable for modern living. And the kitchen is one of the few places where you've kind of really altered walls. You've mainly kept the rest of the house as is. So tell us about the before and after of this kitchen and what you did to kind of enhance it.
So this kitchen was small. It ended about where you were standing, and right here was a walled off pantry. And then along here was a small window over the sink. And so basically the kitchen was a very small footprint. What we've done is we have taken out the pantry to open it up. We've taken out the wall that divided this room from the breakfast room, and then we have that gave us the opportunity to put in a grand 9-foot by 9-foot window and open up to this beautiful view of the backyard. And that was our big goal, because before that, you really had no access, no really great way to see the backyard, which is one of the most spectacular things about this whole house.
And up here, you added a steel beam. So you can see it from right up here.
Yeah. So in this area, right along here is the end of the 2 stories. And so there was a structural beam holding up the outside wall of the 2nd floor. And we consulted with a structural engineer, and he recommended that we put a little bit of steel in and some more supports. And so that's what we've done. And that gives us the opportunity to hold the 2nd floor up and have a beautiful view.
Well, one thing, you see open floor plan kitchens now, and I know you have planned an island, and then over here will be the cooking equipment, refrigerator. But I love how you kind of used this archway to kind of separate the 2 spaces. So you've got your open kitchen, it goes into the dining room, but then you'll have a chance to have a lovely little breakfast or sitting area here looking out over that expansive backyard. So love that whole concept, Kelly.
It should be a really great kitchen for whoever wants to live here.
So Kelly, I know when the Elabashes did this room, it did have the door going this way with some smaller windows, and you kind of have reconfigured this room. You borrowed some of it for the primary bathroom, but tell us about the windows and kind of what your thought was there.
Yeah, so this was originally an old porch, and the previous owner had walled it in and was using it like a little bargain area, and the windows were not appropriate to the historic nature of the house, and so we've decided to install more appropriate windows that accentuate the house. We closed off the entrance here, and then we are replacing the entrance to its original location for this house. And then we're keeping the beadboard ceiling just to let everybody know that it's an old porch, because I think that's very nice to be able to tell the history of a house as you go through it by not covering up everything that was old.
That's fascinating, and I love how now when you come in the front door with these bigger windows, you can see straight out into this beautiful backyard. So Kelly, I know from selling real estate, a main level primary suite is a very valuable, plus the fact that you have updated the bathroom and enlarged it with this mud room by borrowing off on this. But tell us a little bit more about the main level, and I know it was a later addition, not original to the house, but you've kind of repurposed it to be a little bit more in keeping with today's taste. Tell us about that.
So this was a master suite. It was very nice, had a very, very large bedroom, had a very small primary closet. And then also the bathroom in here was laid out in a rather odd way. So we have upgraded this so that you will have a large steam shower here, a freestanding tub there, and a toilet compartment here, and a beautiful tube sink vanity over here. And I think it's going to meet the needs of the next homeowner beautifully.
So Kelly, speaking of that, one of the nice things about this house and the way the mechanical and electrical have been done is a homeowner could basically live on the first floor and then pop up to the second floor, like when family comes to visit for holidays or so forth. I know you've added washer and dryer down here in this closet so that they don't have to go down to the basement or upstairs where there's a new hookup upstairs. And then here in the master bedroom, it was needing of a larger closet to be more in line with modern preferences. So we're creating the walk-in here, and then you still have all of this space for your bedroom, all of this light coming in here. So you didn't lose any windows. As a matter of fact, those windows just really don't look out on anything anyway. So it was a great way to pick up a walk-in closet. So Kelly, I know in an older home there's some charm to these bathrooms and the tile, but there's also limitations in space and modern convenience. So tell us what you're doing right here and how you were able to kind of take this old bathroom, salvage the tile, but also kind of make it more expanded.
Yes, and this bathroom has beautiful tile. It's a blue and white little hex check from the 1920s. And so we basically have kept the tub and the layout of the bathroom with a few minor changes, and have expanded the bathroom to put in about a 3 foot by 5 foot shower, which is accessible for here, which creates kind of a second master suite because it's now a nice 4-piece.
Yeah, let's walk through it and look at it. This could be a closet for this upstairs primary suite.
So we're keeping this beautiful tile and have made a creative use of space so that we don't really have to match it. But there is tile available that does match it, which is pretty phenomenal.
So I'm standing in what's now the vanity.
It used to be a closet.
Used to be a closet, and then the walk-in shower, bathtub. Of course, we showed the former nursery could be a closet, and then you come into here, and here's your second bedroom with an ensuite up here.
Yes. Comes complete with a bed.
So Kelly, I noticed we've got air conditioning vents.
That's
right. New. Tell us about that.
So this house was built in 1925, and it had very little air conditioning. Basically, the master suite that was added on a number of years ago had air conditioning, and the downstairs had some air conditioning, but the second floor on this level, which is very hot right now, did not have any air conditioning. And we have added a full system that operates this entire floor, and you can shut it off if you want to live all downstairs. You don't have to run this, and just keep your bills down.
And then you also had to get rid of some steam radiators as well.
Oh yes, steam radiators had to be cut out of every room, which was kind of heartbreaking because I do like to keep things that are original to the house, but they were not going to be useful anymore. We weren't going to be using them at all, and it really didn't make sense to use the floor space for something that was obsolete and just decorative.
So Kelly, in addition to having to go through the baseboards for electrical, you also had to do some wall plates as well, and this shows what your contractors had to go through. But explain this, please.
Okay, here, and if you get a good shot of it, you can see the other side as well, but here you have your wood studs for the walls. On top of that, they would nail in by hand all these small pieces of wood, which is called lath, and then they would coat it, and you can see it coming through on the back side of the wall behind. There's a bunch of concrete. They would kind of coat it with this gray concrete. First set of mud or mortar, and it squishes through, and it's kind of crazy, but that's your first layer, and then they would come back with the final coat or two of a finished plaster product.
Kelly, I think this has to be one of my favorite rooms in the house, just because you could do so many different things with it. It's just like a little fun play space, but it probably was an old sleeping porch, you think?
That's right, it's an old sleeping porch. You can tell because of the beadboard ceilings. And I guess at some point this was all screened in, and when it was hot, people would bring their mattresses or come sleep out here on the sleeping porch and have fresh air as opposed to being cooped up in the house.
But I see now you're giving them air condition.
Yes.
You're giving lighting.
Yes.
And a smoke detector.
Oh yeah, smoke detectors are very, very, very important. And so we've outfitted this house with all the safety things that we need by code.
Kelly, I noticed you've got new windows back here, including this jewel, which was formerly covered up. So tell us, why did you replace the windows?
So the windows back here were originally added after they stopped using it as a sleeping porch. And they had added in double pane plate glass windows, which were not appropriate to this house. And they didn't quite fit, so we decided to restore it with beautiful windows that match. And the other thing that you don't see now, but you can see this little electrical coming through the trim, is this is where there was a window unit, and that is what they used for all these years to air condition the space upstairs. And so we got rid of all the window units. We will get rid of that little wiring, and we'll be all up to date. So this is what we found for the electrical system when we got into this house. This is what was formerly used. It's a knob and tube system, and it is not up to code, and so we have replaced it with brand new wiring throughout the entire house, abandoning this knob and tube and making it suitable for the next family. We've had our inspections. This tells us that we've passed our rough-in inspection on both the electrical and the plumbing, And so we're ready to go with sheetrock.
Kelly, thank you so much. I am so proud of the work you've done on this house, keeping it in character, but modernizing it and getting it up to code. I know that when I'm selling houses, a lot of times people don't get a chance to see the work that happened before they walked in and it was covered up. So I think this has been very informative for anybody who's looking to buy or renovate a home. We just appreciate it so much. I think you've done a great job.
Well, thank you. It's still in progress, but we're hoping to get it all put back together soon and get it sold to a great family.
Well, it's a wonderful house, and Tuscaloosa is a wonderful place, so
I
roll out.